Okay, so I saw this and I think it's just worth explaining. So Drake posts, "How are you thirsty and want a meal ticket?" And this is because a lot of guys have been making jokes for all. He posted this, and I'm just trying to explain contextually what he's saying for people who don't speak thirst trap fuckboy. This is the English interpretation. So basically, for many, many years, urban males, these are mostly black males with some relation to the hood in some way. So Tyga, Kanye West, okay. Fifth Jay-Z before Beyonce. Basically they've been calling girls thirsty. Like women who just want perks from men who are not their husbands. As in, like, they want guys to take them to dinner. They want guys to, like, buy them things. They call these women thirsty, right? And now there's actually the idea of a meal ticket is basically marriage. So marriage is like the formal meal ticket. Like women stay with their families until they get old enough to get married, and then their husbands become the meal ticket. Like that is the most, like, especially if you look in the developing world, that's legitimately what happens. That's why men sell their daughters for like a cow, because like they had to feed that girl until some guy came along and is now paying for her meals. That's where this idea of a meal ticket came from. So Drake is wondering how, but like nobody's really thirsty because people are drinking like water. But now, like women in the developing world, all over, these are, Drake has had his fair share of women. He's not like, he hasn't like normalized dating like middle class women. He's dated a lot of broke women, like broke women who turn into like strippers and sex workers. Usually those are women who come from like the lower socioeconomic class, and those are like the he's dated women who are like really wealthy. So he has no, I don't really think Drake has like normalized the middle class of women, which is like most women in the United States. Like most women in the United States are middle class, but he's dated a lot of foreign women, like women from all over the world. So his context is actually coming from this really broad perspective that we haven't seen before. Because if you talk to most like middle class men, they kind of like like most middle class men, especially like upper middle class men, are married. There's not even an in between. Like upper middle class men are married with children. They're like out at dinners at least once a week, probably like 2 or 3 times a week. Like yeah, so they're doing things, they have things, they're with their families, they like have shit. But it's like lower class men, it's kind of across the board. Like some of them are selling drugs, like some of them are in jail, some of them are, I don't even know, like burning down stop signs. I really don't know what they're doing. I couldn't tell, but it's a broad range. So there's not really one thing that you could classify them as. Some of them have jobs, but very few of them do. And then, so if we're talking about women, like women, there's a couple, like I think when we were talking, or if you look socioeconomically about women in the workforce, I think women make up like 35% or something of like the workforce. And that number is growing, but it's not like most, like mostly men work and women stay at home. That's still like the dominant thing, but 35% of the workforce is still like a pretty significant amount. We're talking about the American workforce. So like a lot of women work and contribute to the workforce. So like those women obviously are not, like I said, those are like middle class women. Those are not the typical women that Drake is dating. So what he's saying is like, of all the women that he's dated, all these women are looking for, they're thirsty because they want champagne and cocktails. They want to be like Carey and Sex and the City, but they also want to be like, they want their meal ticket. So they want to be married and like settle down and be housewives. But like Carey from Sex and the City is not a housewife. Only her one friend that's like that conservative prude girl is like the housewife. Everybody else is kind of slutty. And I think a lot of women don't understand that those are like way different career paths. Like Carey was a writer. Like Carey had a job. Carey had the affordable housing, the subsidized apartment in Manhattan. And Carey was a renounced writer with like a very cool group of girlfriends. And she was like a successful column writer about like living in the city. So she had like all of those things going for her, which is kind of like the jackpot of like womanhood, like Americana womanhood. She had it all. She was like girl boss 1.0. So like most women aren't going to be Carey, and like I don't think Drake has ever dated like a Carey type of woman. Like I not seriously like dated one. I think like he knows them. He sings about them sometimes. He's like, independent women love when I do this or I love that. But when you're being serious, like of his dating profile, I think Serena Williams was his only girlfriend that was kind of like girl boss. And obviously you see she's married with Alexis O'Hannon now. So he doesn't really have any other example. He's never dated girl bosses. So like he doesn't really know. And even like, it seems like he was dating Iman Hamman, which I don't know what happened with them, but she's kind of girl bossy because her modeling career is going pretty well. So when he's talking about, so she's not thirsty or hungry because obviously like she's providing her own meal ticket in this case, and she's definitely buying her own drinks. Like she doesn't really need him for that. But I think they are over because like they never, I don't know if she followed, maybe she does follow him. I don't really think she does anymore. But yeah, I think they are like completely broken up. So I don't know. I'm just trying to contextualize this like point of view and like why he's saying that and where that is coming from. So yeah.